Hey guys, how are you today?
Good,
Hey,
how are
good.
you?
Good, good. Can you tell me what drew you to this series and your characters in particular?
I think what personally drew me to this series was just the impeccable storytelling of it. I know that word kind of isn't like my favorite word, but Georgia Hunter, who's the author of the novel, who's obviously related to the family we're portraying the story of, just did such a beautiful job in her book. And I think Erica Lipez, our showrunner, did such a beautiful job in translating that into a series. And just on a more heartfelt note, just these people as a whole, I think is what kind of drew me to the project.
Totally. I thought I thought it was maybe the best writing that I had seen when I first read those episodes, and also like I was very drawn to a character that felt he kind of reminded me of my dad, and that felt very emotional. And then we met Georgia, and you're like, who is such a sort of light,
Yeah.
a shining light of a person. You're like, we get to tell this woman's family story, and that
Yeah.
was a serious privilege.
There's obviously such a big scope to it involved. The two of you get to spend a lot of time together. There's so many other people in the cast that you interact with only for small pieces. Is that a challenge just for the storytelling aspect?
It's funny because, certain sets that you go on, when you see characters spend little time together, it often does translate into them spending little time together in real life. But we all were inseparable. Like I had a lot less of a storyline with, for example, like Henry and Milan, who play Genic and Herta, yet I was seeing them pretty much every day because we were just, like I said, like we just never left each other's sides.
We sort of became a family and
Truly.
decompress after each day. How was that for you? How was that scene? Oh, you've got that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think will surprise and stick with audiences most from the series?
I hope what will stick with audiences most is that's sort of something I said in another interview, like expansion, heart expanding, mind expanding, capacity for pain expanding, and then with a shining light of hope.
That. That's yes, that squared times two.
What would you say you learned about your own characters in the process of shooting this show?
I think what was really interesting about the research process for this was because we had a person who is part of this family, we could ask her all these kinds of questions. Like I remember asking Georgia if there was anything that she could kind of provide me with anecdotes about Helena, random things about her personality that had nothing to do with her in the war. And she kind of asked her family that same question. I got back some of the most funny little pieces about who Helena was, and Helena was really hilarious, and she had such a spunkiness and light about her. And so finding out more about these people, who they were with outside of the war, and infusing that person into the people we're playing in this show, that was a really special thing.
I remember thinking, or sort of speaking to myself, sort of talking to Adam a little bit in my head, and kind of going, I don't know how you did that. And that really, really moved me. And it's that idea,
Yeah,
I don't know how they did it.
I don't know how they did it.
And yet, also we
We're
know because
portraying how they did
portraying
it.
them. But you go, what must that have taken?
It's a pretty incredible story. Thank you both so much for being a part of it.
Thank
Thanks so
you
much.
so much.